name is Kjerulf, and I'm the founder and chief happiness officer of a company in Copenhagen called Woo! It's spelled woo, but it's pronounced woo! And we make people happy at work. We do keynotes and workshops for companies all over the world to teach them how to be happier and more successful. Well, happiness at work has always been a personal value for me. And what I've noticed is what happens to people when they have work they love. People become excited and energized and motivated, and they do amazing work. I've also seen what happens to people when they have work they hate, and it demoralizes them, it demotivates them, it can ruin having a job you hate can ruin your health, can ruin your career, can ruin your private life, and I think that's absolutely horrible, especially considering how much time we spend at work, right? So 14 years ago, I decided that this is my passion in life, this is my mission, and ever since then I've been making people happy at work. Here's the thing, we know that when people are happy at work, they do a better job. When people are happy at work, they like their jobs, they're more productive, they're more innovative, they sell more, they make the customers happy. So basically all of the qualities that we need in our employees to bring a company out of a tough time, out of a crisis, all of those qualities people only have when they are happy. And if people are afraid, if people are nervous, if people are frustrated, they lose their innovation, they lose their motivation, they lose their energy, and they lose their productivity. And this is what happens in a lot of companies when they hit a crisis. Everybody becomes afraid, everybody becomes nervous for the future. And when that happens, we lose precisely the qualities that we need to get out of the crisis. So it's vitally important that any company that is in tough times can actually manage to still keep their employees happy. Of course, it's easier when everything is going well and the company's making a ton of money, but it's even more important to do it when the company is in tough times. And that is what we've been teaching workplaces all over the world, especially since the financial crisis hit the world in 2007 and 2008. And there are ways to do it. There are ways to keep your people happy even in tough times. And that is one of the most positive and optimistic things, is to see companies like Lego or IKEA or Volvo or some of our other amazing clients around the world, see them take happiness seriously. And these companies know that not only is happiness good for the individual, it's good for the employees to be happy at work, it's good for their work lives and their private lives, but they also know that happy companies make more money, and that is why they're interested in this topic, and that is why there is a huge amount of interest right now all over the world in happiness at work. I have spoken in 42 different countries on this so far, all over the world, and it's amazing to see people getting interested in it. Well, you can measure happiness simply by asking people, and we have a survey for that, for instance, that we use with our keynotes and workshops. So we have a survey that we use with people before the event and after the event to see how it's worked. So finding out how happy people are at work is actually not that hard. You ask them. And measuring productivity can be hard depending on the kind of work that people do. Of course, if you have a sales team, their productivity is measured in sales numbers. But you can also measure things like customer satisfaction, customer happiness. And there's a clear link between happy employees and happy customers. You can measure things like employee turnover. If your employees are unhappy, they will leave. Especially all the good people will leave very soon. So the happier people are, the lower employee turnover is. You can measure absenteeism. Happy people get less sick. They don't call in sick to work as often. And you can also measure things, depending on the kind of work, like productivity. You can measure things like the quality of work. Maybe things like error rates and mistakes are interesting to measure, and all have a proven positive correlation with happiness at work. The secret to being happy at work is not what most people think, right? Because if you ask people what would make you happy at work, many of them say a raise, or give me a bonus, or give me perks, give me a fresh fruit in the office, or whatever, right? And it turns out none of those things have a very big effect. And in fact, what does make us happy if you look at the research, and we've looked extensively at the science, there are two things that make us happy at work: results and relationships. That's the secret. Results is about knowing that you're good at your job. You make a difference, you have all the skills to do a really good job, and by the way, you do something that you believe is important, something that is meaningful, that has purpose for you. And relationships means that you like the people you work with. So you have a good relationship with your co-workers, a good relationship with your manager, you feel like you belong in the workplace. Those two things, results and relationships, that is the secret to happiness. Here's the interesting thing, and this is one of the most interesting findings from the research in happiness, right? It is that many of the things that actually work and many of the things that make us happy are quite simple. It's not big things, it's small things you can do every day. So here are some tips that we often give people. Praise and recognition are incredibly important and make us very happy. So if you can do that, if you see a coworker doing a good job, if you're the manager and you see one of your employees do a good job, tell them. Tell people that they do a good job. Here's a very, very simple thing you can do. Say good morning. When you come to work in the morning, say a friendly, cheerful, happy good morning to the people you work with. That's actually going to make a little bit of a positive difference. Another one I really like is to celebrate your success. If something goes well in the company or in the team, don't just take it for granted, celebrate it, and create this feeling of results and relationships. I think the most important tip, and maybe the most important finding from the happiness research, is that if you want to be a little happier yourself, the best thing you can do, the most effective thing, is to make someone else happy. It turns out that when we do nice things for ourselves, we become a little happier, and when we do nice things for others, we become a lot happier. So that's probably one of the big secrets to happiness, both at work and in life, is if you want to be happy, be nice to others. Well, what I will give the HR professionals coming to this amazing event is first of all, a look into the science. What is it that really makes employees happy at work? Many HR professionals are quite frustrated because they feel like, oh, wait, but we've been doing so many things for our employees, right? We gave them a gym, we gave them fruit in the office, we gave them this bonus scheme, we gave them whatever, right? And they're still not happy, they're still not motivated. What is wrong? And what I'm going to talk about is what is wrong. Why don't those things work? And they don't work. Everybody thinks they do, and they're very expensive, but they don't work. So we're going to talk about what really works, results and relationships, and we're going to talk about how to implement that in practice. What does that look like from an HR and management perspective? How can you make sure that these things get implemented and get acted on by teams, by managers, and by employees? Then we're going to get very practical. I would say the number one advice is to realize that HR is ultimately about the happiness of the people who work in the organization. And to focus very specifically on that goal. And also to remember that happiness at work is not job satisfaction, which is what, of course, many companies measure, many HR organizations focus on. Satisfaction and happiness are linked, but they're not the same thing. We're also going to talk about that difference at the HR Summit. But just to realize that we're dealing with human beings here. And when human beings are happier, they do a better job, they connect better with other people, they are more motivated, they have more energy. All the qualities we want them to have at work is what people have when they're happy. So that is really the goal of HR. It shouldn't really be human resources, it should be happy resources. And I think that is the future of HR.